Russia could strike NATO by 2030, alliance call to boost air defense 5x. Okay, so I'll read these three, Tom, and then I'm just going to tee you up, and then you take it from there. Okay. So NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte warned at Chatham House in London on Monday that Russia's defense production outpaces NATO, stating, in terms of ammunition, Russia produces in 3 months what the whole NATO produces in a year, and its defense industrial base is expected to roll out 1,500 tanks, 3,000 armored vehicles, and 200 Iskander missiles this year alone. He cautioned Russia could be ready to use military force against NATO in 5 years, urging a 5-fold increase in air defense systems. He highlighted NATO's industrial lag, noting, take Patriot, the most important air defense system we have, the most advanced. You will get it in 10 years if you order it today, and called for a 400% increase in air and missile defense, saying we need 5 times as many systems to defend ourselves against missiles. He proposed NATO members raise combined defense spending to 5% of GDP, including 3.5% on core traditional military costs and 1.5% on security-related investments, including infrastructure and building industrial capacity. Tom, I'll just pause there, okay, on this story. Then I'll go to the one with NATO seeking to include Ukraine funds. But your thoughts on this? Is he just selling? Because this sounds like a salesperson. Impose a bunch of fear, scare the crap out of them, place a massive order of equipment and supplies and military weapons that we need.
Yeah, well, basically, Mark Carney has a problem. Let's start with Canada. He has a problem. And I could give you a different headline. Woman tries to figure out how to pay dinner check when boyfriend fails to return from bathroom. That's really what Mark Carney's got here. And Trump is a boyfriend that says, you have to pay for your own dinner. And that's what happened. So basically, Canada is announcing, hey, we're going to increase our spending to 5%. Why 5%? Because 5% is what they all looked around the table and said, if dad doesn't pay for dinner, it really is going to take all of us taking about 5% of GDP. So that's what happened. And they're trying to get all the NATO alliance together. And I take you back to Zelensky has the incident in the Oval Office with Vance and Trump, and then goes straight to the UK and to France, who says, don't worry, we'll back you up. But remember, their money was half loan, half gift. Yeah. So you got to pay it back. And how are you going to pay it back? How about some rare earth minerals? And so NATO is forced to pay its own way right now. And even as they support Ukraine, they're scared to death of Russia, and they're realizing, we really need real defense here. And now Trump has said, I'm not paying for all dinner. You got to pay for some of it yourself. So that is the first thing, is that Trump has reset who pays for what with NATO, Pat. That is point one. And you're seeing all these. And yes, hey, we got to raise this up and we got to buy some of the stuff on our own. That's number one. And number two is they're trying to loop in the support of Ukraine. And they know if they do that, that's going to rev up Russia even more, who said, I told you part of me starting this was I was really irritated because you wanted Ukraine to go into NATO. And so now they realize that they need defenses to kind of balance the books here. That's what's going on.
Okay, Michael, your thoughts.
Look, there is a realpolitik issue with Russia. I hate to give the neocons any credit at all, but there is a realpolitik. We think about politics only in the perspective of domestic ideologies. Mm-hmm. And in that way, Putin is kind of based because he builds cathedrals and is anti-globalist. And so I get it. However, they do have a lot of missiles pointed at us. And so from the perspective of the United States, Trump has taken a more diplomatic approach with Putin, which I think is a good idea. But if you're Europe, I get why you're freaking out. I understand. And also, to your point, I get why you're worried if all of a sudden your free military defense that you've had for 70 years is suddenly looking like you might have to chip in a little bit for it. But again, this all comes down to the huge, huge mismanagement of the Ukraine issue. Because this is where I'll knock the neocons. For them, it's so black and white, and everything is either you're Neville Chamberlain appeaser, or you got to bomb the entire world. And there is a role for buffer states. You remember buffer states? I mean, getting to what you alluded to about Ukraine being included in the NATO funding. I thought Ukraine wasn't in NATO. Buffer states are a good thing, and I get it. I was just in Hungary, at CPAC Hungary. And the Hungarians have a very balanced view because they actually take seriously what Russia's thinking. And if I'm Vladimir Putin and I see NATO beginning to encroach a little bit more and the European Union encroaching a little bit more into Ukraine, I might view that as an unacceptable security risk. And maybe that gives me the excuse to go in and do something that I've been planning to do for 20 years because I think that the fall of the Soviet Union was the worst event of the 20th century. It could be all of those things combined. But it just seemed like we bumbled it. And so when people call to stop just giving a blank check to NATO, when people call to make Europe start paying for some of its own defense, in part, that is deserved because NATO has screwed up a lot. You know, NATO has, if you want to say you're just a defensive alliance, then don't lead aggressive wars of regime change that create perverse incentives around the world. You know, in part, it's like what the Dr. Fauci thing. Why don't we trust the healthcare people anymore? Because they screwed up, man. And so you can't blame ordinary people for taking a rational response and saying, hey, I'm not going to give you a blank check of my belief or my money.
No, I mean, that's a good, and by the way, this leads to, Adam, I'm going to come to you right after this. NATO seeks to include Ukraine funds in a new spending target. Allies are set to allow contributions to Ukraine defense to count towards a new 5% GDP defense spending budget. What a freaking ridiculous. Did you understand what they're saying?
Yeah.
You get what they're saying? Like, hey, if you contribute to your budget percentage, but if you're giving it to help out Ukraine, that counts towards your budget. What does that even mean? With a preliminary draft of the summit declaration stating that they will allocate at least 3.5% of economic output to core defense requirements by 2032, plus a additional 1.5% to protect infrastructure, defense networks, and ensure civil preparedness. The declaration to be finalized at the summit in Hague also proposes eliminating defense trade barriers, per Bloomberg. One-page draft, a shift from last year's 5,000-word statement omits Ukraine's NATO membership prospects, and last year's $40 billion Kiev pledge focusing solely on defense spending to avoid public disputes with President Trump, who has pushed for a 5% target as NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte aims to deliver a win for Trump by ensuring U.S. engagement, according to people familiar with the matter. Adam, your thoughts?
So this 5% number is not a small number because right now the number is 2%.
Right.
And most countries aren't even paying 2%. So now Trump's saying, yeah. 5%? There's only one country, I think, in all of Europe that's paying 4%, which is Poland. And because they're, quote unquote, next. Here's my whole point, whether it's NATO or any of these issues. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm saying this loudly and proudly. Because in 2016, I would have never said this. Trump was right about everything. Make NATO pay. We're like, oh my God, he's upsetting our allies. Yeah, because they haven't paid anything. Start paying up. Build the wall. Walls are racist. Why would you say that? Turns out we need a damn wall here in America here, buddy. China, the tariffs, they're ripping us off. Why would you do that? That's racist. No. Apparently now they're finalizing this deal in China. The woke radical left are psychopaths. Yeah, he was right. So all these things that at the end of the day, 2016, there was people that caught on early. Respect to you, I get it.
You're welcome.
But most of us weren't ready. Stop it, Vinny.
I was there.
You weren't there.
Yes, I was. 2016, yes, I was.
Most Americans weren't necessarily ready for that because it was such a drastic change. If you're watching any of the media from Obama to Trump, but looking back at it, everything that he said in 2016, the Mexicans are coming, some of them are okay, but they're rapists and drug. It's all been true. Yeah. So NATO is just one component of all the truth telling that he was saying. So I got to give respect
I just like
to
the
Trump.
fact check. I was there the entire time. You find one clip of me saying anything wrong, I'll give you $1,000.
There was no clips of you in 2016.
Yes, there was.
No.
That's why I left Los Angeles because I was talking shit. I was talking shit on stage. And guess what? When comedy club owners were like, "Hey, you can't talk positive about Trump." That's the truth. I've always been that guy.
Show me a clip.
You're just coming around. I've always been that guy since day one.
Show me one clip.
Fact check live.
Notice said he doesn't have one clip.
What do you mean?
Listen, guys.
Of my stand up at the Laugh Factory? I'll show you.
Guys,
Fact check.
either step up to Besant and Musk's level.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I don't want to hear
I'm done with
$1,000.
this,
Listen, buddy,
right? I'm
Adam, you play the gay guy? I'm going to play the straight guy.
Adam,
Somebody
go
gets
buy
a box.
Miami.
I'm not doing it. This weekend is Flag Day, okay? And we're celebrating a lot of different things. And in the whole respect of Flag Day, we have some new merch. An item that I don't know what happened. We launch it at midnight, and we send an email to the people that are insiders that buy merch, and it's gone already, but we have some of it still that's left, the numbered stuff that we have. Here's a clip about what's about to come out and the new hat that's out. I have a feeling some of you guys are going to lose your mind, and you're going to want it ASAP, so go ahead and play this clip, Rob.
I love that shit.
Show me the hat.
Damn. Oh, wow.
It's a nice hat.
Limited edition,
Wow,
numbered hat. And these are the ones that comes in this box. It's numbered out of 250. And when you get it, there's a card inside with the hat here. I'm going to unwrap it. Chris said don't do it. Chris has got so many rules.
Sorry, Chris.
He's so creative. Creatives have a lot of rules.
Yeah, too late. Oh, that's
and
bad.
if you see
We're gonna
this
teach
hat
him business
here,
next
look at
year.
this. That's right. It's going to happen eventually. Future looks bright on the side with the Valuetainment on the back.
What
and
number
Future
is
looks
that?
bright
America
here.
with that
This is not
American
numbered.
Vinny,
This
it's
is
like
the
little Air
promo.
Force guys.
I love it.
Everything there is going to be numbered. That'll come out to you. And there's a lot of, Rob, if you can go on other items, this is limited out of 250. So this will go out in the next hour, but you got other gear that you have with the American flag on it. Represent it, sport it, go to work, your flip-flops, the hats, shirts, whatever it may be. If you're proud to be an American and you love Valuetainment and Future Looks Bright, go represent, put the gear on, and go to vtmerch.com and get your latest numbered Future Looks Bright hat. Rob, if you can put the link below, go to vtmerch.com. By the way, if you go on eBay right now, it's crazy what's going on with these numbered hats that people buy and post them on here. That one right there to the left is 1 out of 250 guys selling it for 10 grand. The other one is 43 out of $53,000. These are our limited edition hats that are on eBay. For some of you that don't buy it here, we will not reproduce this. This simply ends up being on eBay. So if you want to add it to your collection, go to vtmerch.com, place your order. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.